What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mana Chamber. I appreciate every single person who's stopping by the video today. We're doing a ranking video. It's one of those videos, and we're ranking Magic the Gathering cards. All the commanders from Murders at Karlov Manor. So it's basically just legendary creatures. We're going to see which Murders at Karlov Manor commander I think is in the A tier, B tier, C tier, D tier, F tier, school grades. It goes crazy. Then I'm going to pick out a best. Who do I think is the best? Then I'm going to pick out a worst. Who do I think is the worst? It's going to be pretty wild. I do a lot of historic brawl, a lot of standard brawl in this channel. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel and hang out and play some Magic with us. So let's get into ranking these cards. We're going to start with Agris Cost, Spirit of Justice. He is a Plains, a red, and 2 Spirit Detective with 2 power and 4 toughness. He has double strike and vigilance. Whenever he enters the battlefield or attacks, choose up to 1 target creature. If it's suspected, exile it. Otherwise, suspect it. Now, I need to look into the suspect rule here. I'm pretty sure suspected makes it to where they have menace and they can't block. So, let's see here. When he enters battlefield or attacks, you can suspect creatures. If it's suspected, you exile it. Any target creature. So, it could even be your enemies, and if they're suspected, then you exile it. Otherwise, you suspect. You can suspect your own. It's kind of interesting. I don't know. I'm not mad at it. It's got, I mean, an exile potential removal. And then, I mean, you could choose a creature of an enemy's and then suspect it and then exile it later. I don't know. It's pretty functionable, actually. Let's give this B tier. Let's just do B tier. It could be A tier. I don't know. Let's do a B tier for solid, middle grounding. Try to not get too excited. Throw out too many A's right off the bat. Next, Alquist, Proft, Master, Sleuth. A blue, a white, and 1 human detective with 3 attack and 3 toughness with vigilance. Whenever he enters the battlefield, you investigate, which is making a clue token. You can pay 2 blue and a white and X and tap him and sacrifice a clue, and you draw X cards and gain X life. That's kind of interesting. So better than a clue? You just make clues? More expensive than a clue. I'm not mad at it. Draw a bunch of cards, gain a bunch of life. Is it bad? I don't feel like it's as good as that thing. So do I throw it in C tier or do I bump this guy up to A tier? Let's just throw him in B tier for the moment and think on it. Anzrag, the Quake Mole, for a green, a red, and 2 Mole God with 8 attack and 4 toughness. Whenever he becomes blocked, untap each creature you control. After this combat phase, there's an additional combat phase. You can pay 2 green, 2 red, and 3, and he must be blocked each combat this turn, if able. So you can make it to where he has to be blocked. He's very interesting. Bunch of mana to make him to where it has to be blocked. You get an additional combat phase, so I know a lot of people are talking about this guy. I think he seems exciting, if you ask me, an 8-4 for 4. Oh, I think I'm going to put him in A tier. I want to bump this guy up to A tier too. I think Argus or whatever his name is. Let me go back. Agris Cost. It's too interesting to stay in the B tier. All right. Aurelia, the Law Above. For a white, a red, and 3. Angel, 4/4 with flying, vigilance, and haste. Whenever a player attacks with 3 or more creatures, I draw a card attacks anybody. That's cool in Commander. Whenever a player attacks with 5 or more creatures, Aurelia deals 3 damage to each of your opponents, and you gain 3 life. So you're kind of like slowing down the battle in a way. Very fun, actually. I want to put this in A tier. I mean, flying, vigilance, haste, board control. It's kind of interesting. Delny, Streetwise, Lookout, for a white and 2 human scout with 2 attack and 2 toughness. Creatures you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater. If an ability of a creature you control with power 2 or less triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. This guy's crazy. Just A tier off the bat. Absolutely crazy. Creatures can't block, just weak boys can't block. He's really fun. I am actually pretty excited about that. That's pretty cool. Atrata, Deadly Fugitive. For a black, a blue, and 1 vampire assassin with 1 attack and 4 toughness. They have Death Touch. Face down creatures you control have. You can pay a black, a blue, and 2. Turn this creature face up. If you can't exile it, then you may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. That's interesting. Whenever an assassin you control deals combat damage to an opponent, cloak the top card of that player's library, which cloak is basically like manifest. You put it onto the battlefield, except for the cloak one is the disguise version, so it's face down with ward 2. Pretty cool there. This seems really fun and interesting. I don't know how amazing it is, but it's really fun and really interesting. Face down creatures. And then you can just cast things for free. I don't know. This is crazy to me. I am throwing it in A tier. Am I putting too much in A tier? Or is there just too many good people in this set? We'll find out. Ezrim, Agency Chief. For 2 blue, 2 white, and 1 Archon Detective with 5 attack and 5 toughness. He has flying. Whenever he enters the battlefield, you investigate twice. Make 2 clues. Or you can pay 1 and sacrifice an artifact, and he gains your choice of Vigilance, Lifelink, or Hexproof until the end of the turn. So he could theoretically gain all 3. He only gets 1 investigate trigger on him. He's not too bad. I think he's the worst of everything we've seen so far. So let's put him in C tier. Izani, Center of the Web. For a green, a black, and 4 colorless. They are an elf detective with 5 attack and 4 toughness and has menace. Whenever they enter the battlefield or attack, you may collect evidence of 4, which is like, I think, exiling 4 cards from your graveyard. Let me look into that rule. Hold on. Break. It's a break. You've been asked your cast players take action. If you can't exile, if you can't to meet or exceed the required mana value, you can't choose to collect evidence at all. Okay, so if you do, you create a 2/1 black and green spider creature token with menace and reach. You can sacrifice 4 tokens, surveil 2, then draw 2 cards and gain 2 life. So if you do, you create 2 2/1 black green spiders. So if you, when they enter or attack, you can basically exile 4 cards from your graveyard, I do believe, and then you make 2 2/1 black and green spider creatures. You can use those to draw cards and gain life. Pretty fun. I'm not going to say it's amazing. I'm going to put it in C tier. Judith, Carnage Connoisseur. For a red, a black, and 3 human shaman with 3 attack and 4 toughness. They have whenever you cast an instant or a sorcery spell, choose 1. That spell gains Death Touch and Lifelink, or create a 2/2 red imp creature token with when this creature dies, deals 2 damage to each opponent. Very interesting. I think Judith is fantastic. The fact that you can give spells Death Touch and Lifelink, bookie kooky dookie. We're definitely putting it in A tier. We got the man, the myth, the legend, the Omen Path Walker, Kellen, Inquisitive Prodigy. For a blue, a green, and 2 human fairy detective with 3 attack and 4 toughness. He has an adventure of Tail the Suspect. You pay a blue and green, and you can investigate. You may play an additional land this turn. And again, for the mana I said earlier, for the 4 mana, he has flying and vigilance, and whenever he attacks, destroy up to 1 target artifact. If you control that permanent, you draw a card. I'm not going to say he's amazing. He's interesting. Investigate. Interesting. And I don't know. Kellen's a very interesting character. Again, he's walking through the Omen Paths in the lore right now. Basically on a journey looking for his dad. So he came to Ravnica. And that's what gives him this. He started in what? The set that added adventures to it. Wilds of Eldraine, I think. I don't know. It's interesting. We're going to put him in C tier. I'm not going to say he's incredible. The red and white Kellen, the first one, man, he's nuts. He's really good. Okay. Krenko, Baron of Tin Street. For a red and 2 goblin with 3 attack and 3 toughness. He has haste. You can tap him and sacrifice an artifact and put a +1/+1 counter on each goblin you control. And whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a red. If you do, you create a 1/1 goblin creature token. It gains haste until the end of the turn. He's kind of fun. Not going to say he's an incredible Cranko, but he's pretty fun. Each goblin, he has haste. He's not too expensive. I'll throw him in B tier. I think he's fun. Kylox, Visionary Inventor for a red, a blue, and 5. Vashino Artificer with 4 attack and 4 toughness. He has Menace, Ward 2, and Haste. And whenever he attacks, you sacrifice any number of other creatures, then exile the top X cards of your library. X is their total power rate. You may cast any number of instant and or sorcery spells from among the exile cards without paying their mana cost. Wow, he's very interesting. I don't even know what to think about him. I'm gonna just, he's probably can do some really ridiculous things if you really hunkered down and made a deck to make him do some ridiculous things. We're just going to put him in B tier simply because he seems extremely fun and extremely strange. And he's just an absolute madman. We love mad inventors, especially if they're like kind of dragon creatures. Lazov, Wearer of Faces for a black and a blue shapeshifter detective with 2 attack and 3 toughness. Whenever he attacks, you exile a target card from a graveyard, then you investigate. Whenever you sacrifice a clue, you may have him become a copy of a creature card exiled with it until the end of the turn. He's super cool. Huh. I'm really interested in him. I'm putting him in, I don't know, B tier because you need to have good creatures in the graveyard. So you're doing a mill deck probably. And your enemies could have, in Commander though, it'd be kooky. I don't know. I have to put it in A tier. It's too fun and too weird to not put in A tier. I'm down with it. Am I putting too many in A tier, or are there just that many good ones in this set? Okay. Massacre Girl, Known Killer for 2 black and 2 colorless. This human assassin is 4 attack and 4 toughness. They have Menace. Creatures you control have Wither, which is basically if they attack and get blocked, the blocking creature gets -1/-1 counter on them. And then whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness was less than 1, you draw a card. Pretty cool. I think Massacre Girl's super mean. I actually did a Historic Brawl video around her recently. Very fun. I didn't lose any of the battles. Feel free to go check it out on the channel. Melik, Reforged Researcher for a red, a blue, and 3. Weird Detective. How weird. He has asterisk, asterisk. What does that mean? It is his power and toughness are equal to twice the number of instant and sorcery cards in your graveyard. And the first instant or sorcery spell you cast each turn costs 3 colorless less to cast. That's kind of cool. 3 colorless less. So you reduce a lot of mana just in general. You're doing a very spellcast heavy deck. You have to have them in your graveyard. I don't know with that. We'll put it in B tier for that and the 5 mana cost. Sweet. Niv Mizzet Guild Pack for a green, a red, a black, a blue, and a white. This dragon avatar is 6 attack and 6 toughness. They also have flying and hexproof from multicolored. What a weird hexproof to have. Whenever Niv Mizzet deals combat damage to a player, it deals X damage to any target, and target player draws X cards, and you gain X life, where X is the number of different color pairs among permanents you control that are exactly 2 colors. Such a weird card. I don't even know what to think about it. I'm sure it could be fantastic. I'm more impressed with the old Niv Mizzets. The 5-color ones never impressed me as much, but I'll throw him in B tier because he could have some pretty interesting, fun times to be had indeed. Rakdos, Patron of Chaos, red, a black, and 4. Demon with 6 attack and 6 toughness. Dude's not even in the lore story. Why does he have a card? Who knows? He's Rakdos. You need another Rakdos. He's got flying. He's got trample. At the beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice 2 non-land, non-token permanents. If they don't, you can draw 2 cards. So it's like, hey, get rid of your stuff or I'm getting more stuff. We love it. You gotta have it. It's Rakdos. There's nothing bad about it. I'm not gonna say it's as interesting as any of these ones I put in A tier, so let's put it in the B tier. Even though, it's good. It's hands down good. It's fine. Teysa, opulent oligarch. It's the murdered one. She's been dead. Spoilers. Yep, she dies and murders at Karlov Manor, so who knows when she's coming back around, if ever. We'll see. She's a black, a white, and 1 human advisor. 2 attack and 3 toughness with death touch. And at the beginning of your end step, you investigate for each opponent who lost life this turn. And then whenever a clue you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you create a 1/1 white and black spirit creature token with flying. You can only have that trigger once each turn. Still pretty dang cool. I'm not mad at her at all. I'm not gonna say. I mean, she investigates basically on every single one of your end steps. She's not incredible, though. Let's just put her in B, because she seems all around just generally just fine. Just a good old fine old gal. The Pride of Whole Clade. For a green and 10 mana, big boy. Crocodile, elk, turtle, some monstrosity. Has 2 attack and 15 toughness. Big old toughness. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total toughness among creatures you control. So you want big butts in the deck, I dare say. He has Defender. For 2 blue and 2. Until the end of the turn, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player. Draw cards equal to its toughness. And can attack as though it didn't have Defender. So draw 15, anybody? Pride of Whole Clade. Super buku, super weird and super crazy. Draw 15, you just can't argue with it. It's got to go in A tier. I actually believe I'm doing a standard brawl video of it tomorrow, so come check that out if you would like to. Dulcimere, Midnight's Light. For 2 white, 2 white, a green, and 2. This elf scout has 3 attack and 2 toughness with lifelink, and whenever they enter the battlefield, you create Vola Fenstalker, a legendary 5/5 green and white wolf creature token with trample, and whenever a wolf you control attacks, if Dulcimere attacked this combat, target creature an opponent controls blocks that wolf this combat if able. So you make a crazy wolf deck, a wolf fighting deck, and you're like Dulcimere attacks, and you just attack with enough wolves that they can't really block Dulcimere. They got to block the wolves. It's interesting. It's mighty interesting. Kind of expensive. I'm not going to say I'm in love with it. We'll go C tier on that one. Tomic, Wielder of Law. A black, a white, and 1 human advisor with 2 attack and 4 toughness. They have affinity for planeswalkers, so you get a single planeswalker out, boom, automatically a black and a white. Cost reduction. You just need 1 planeswalker. Flying and Vigilance. Whenever an opponent attacks with creatures, if 2 or more of those creatures are attacking you and or planeswalkers you control, that opponent loses 3 life, and you draw the card. So if they attack you, you get a little buff. You know, only if they attack you, though. It's not, I'm not going to say it's amazing for commander or anything, but it's pretty good if he's your commander. I'm not mad at it. We'll put B tier. It's fun. It's fine. It's mighty good. It's Tomic. He wields the law. And then we got these murderers. Tristani, 3 whispers, a white or green, and a green dryad with 4 attack and 4 toughness. You can pay a green and 1, and target creature gains death touch until the end of the turn. You can pay a white or green, and target creature gains vigilance until the end of the turn. And you can pay a white and 2, and target creature gains double strike until the end of the turn. I say they're murderers because they are pretty sure are the ones who poisoned Teysa in the story. I don't know everything about the lore. I just try to kind of keep up with it. It makes it a little bit of fun for me, you know. This is actually a very versatile, very fun card. I'm not mad at it at all. We got to put it in A tier. I mean, like 3 mana basically, and then a bunch of bink bonk boonk stuff that you can do. I love it. Vanifar, Evolved Enigma. For a blue, a green, and 2 elf ooze wizard. Interesting combination there. 3 attack and 4 toughness. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you choose one of these. Cloak a card from your hand. So put a card from your hand onto the battlefield with Ward 2 face down. It's a 2/2. Very cool. Or put a +1/+1 counter on each colorless creature you control. So those are colorless creatures when you put them face down. So some just kind of deformed ooze monster that can maybe flip stuff over. I'm kind of not mad at it. It's too interesting to put in C tier, so it's going to B tier. Voja, Jaws of the Conclave. For a white, a green, a red, and 2 wolf. They got 5 attack and 5 toughness. They have vigilance. They have trample. They have ward 3. Whenever they attack, you put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is the number of elves you control, and then you draw a card for each wolf you control. So you're making a elf wolf deck. +1 on each creature you control, and that's pretty crazy. And then draw a card. It's a crazy card, I'm gonna be honest. We're just gonna go A tier. Another A tier. Everybody's a monster in this set. Final one, Yaris, Roar of the Old Gods. A green, a red, and 2 centaur druid with 4 attack and 4 toughness. Other creatures you control have haste. Everybody's hasty boys. Whenever 1 or more face-down creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you draw a card, draw tons of stuff, right? And then whenever a face-down creature you control dies, return to the battlefield face down under its owner's control. If it's a permanent card, then turn it face up. Wait. Whenever a face-down creature dies, return to the battlefield face down under its owner's control if it's a permanent. That's crazy. He's just super crazy, too. I like this guy a lot, and he has to go in A tier, in my opinion. So, wow. Bunch of A tier. Quite a bit of B tier. Some C tier. Nobody falling below C tier, in my opinion, in this set. And that's some mad laddery. That's some mad laddery to be hattery. So we got 4 dudes to choose from. It's kind of a tough choice. I got to go back and look at this. Look at this second guy, or this first guy here. Who is it? This one? Worst commander in the set, so that's 5, 6. That's cheaper. That one's not definitely the worst, so... I think, in all reality, I don't know, it's a pretty tough decision, but I think, wow, maybe some people are going to be mad at me, maybe they're going to be okay with me. I got to find the person's name, because... I want to find it before I say it because I'm that kind of person. So you just got to hang on. It's Izani, center of the web, a green, a black, and 4. I mean, 5, you know, whatever. They have evidence 4. So, I mean, you're doing a mill deck with them, and you're making a bunch of 2/1 black and green spiders, and then you can draw some cards and gain some life, which is, I mean, it's cool. But you have to sacrifice 4 of these tokens. I just feel like there's a lot of maintenance to be had to make this deck moving the way it should, and I would feel like it'd just be better in the 99 than as a commander, I guess, right? Maybe it's just for funsies, but it's not my most favorite. Okay, now to pick out the best of the best. Who may be the best, in my opinion? I'm pretty dang torn on this, actually. There's some really, really good ones. I gotta go look at one person here. What did they do? Oh, yeah. Okay. Who do I think is the best? Wow, this is a tough one. And that guy was really cool, too. Okay, I'm gonna give you, like, a few thoughts here. I think these Tristani's pretty crazy. I'm not mad at Tristani in any way, shape, or form. Massacre Girl. Just crazy, very mean, very powerful. Also not mad at. Judith, Death Touch Life Tank spells. I'm really not mad at it. It's really pretty scary. Aurelia as a commander, board control, powerful. She's just a little more expensive. So I gotta give it up to my boy Delny. Streetwise Lookout. It's just cheap. You get creatures that can't really be blocked. You can make their abilities trigger twice. So it's all low boys to the ground. It's fast. It's aggro white. I think there's something really fun and special about this. This is who I rank as the best of the set. It's my opinion. So tell me, is it wrong? Is my opinion wrong? Who do you think is the best? Is anybody else in this A tier better than the best that I chose? Who do you think is the worst? Is anybody else in this C tier worse than the worst that I chose? Am I just missing something altogether? Please let me know. Are any of these commanders you're excited to play with? I'm very excited. We'll do a best of video here. We'll do a worst of video. Those are going to be fun. I'm looking forward to them. in the very near future, and I appreciate your time today. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. Please like the video to help it grow in the algorithm, and please leave me some of those comments down below with those tasty commander thoughts using these commanders, and I'll just see you in the next video. Bye.